I'm in this to finish this. I have said in the news.
Good.
And I started, and we will finish this.
I'm concerned for your future because if they would do it once, I'm afraid they do it again.
No, they tried to kill me many times, but I'm very fortunate. There is a person named Christian Yema from DRC, lives in Cape Town. He has a military background and trained bodyguard and protector. We actually are in this together. And
how about in Iceland, though?
I stay very low profile. I don't give opportunities on me. And, first of all, I cannot do much, but I'm very careful in all steps I do. So, because anyone who wants to kill me, they want first and foremost try to have distance between themselves and my death. So it has to look like a suicide accident and so on until they get too desperate. But in Cape Town 2016, they were quite aggressive, sending mafias to take me out. And there was a situation which I had 13 bodyguards, most of them armed, because there were 3 gangs sent to shoot me out. It was almost a big shootout.
Is local law enforcement aware of your situation there?
Yeah, my number and my sister's number is registered in the system with the police, but we also have to pay attention that the police in Iceland is very naive.
Good, because it's going to get hard, and you know that. But you have a whole community of whistleblowers that will embrace you and help you. And so rely on that if you need to. When I did it, there was no community because it was 20 years ago. But now there's a community, and we'll put your name out there, and they will embrace you. And if you need help or anything, please seek it out because they will help you.
Yeah, and that's what I appreciate is what's happening now, because this is my biggest challenge, so to say, is the health due to the poisoning effects. And and I just sent to Rainer the medical report this morning. And
I'm so sorry.
I must be very important first they go this length.
You are, yeah. But I know that I have passed through Reykjavik. On my way to England, and I was amazed at how sparsely populated Iceland is.
Yeah.
So if they should be aware if anyone comes in that looks suspicious.
Yeah, and they said they're going to pay attention to it, but me and me and Christian, which I will send you photos of us together and more information about him. He is basically the reason I have survived. And we have said, if we die with this, then we die with this, but we are going to fight to the end.
Good man. And that's the attitude you have to have.
We are quite well educated about this. And the investigators in Namibia, he warned me 6 months ago that they might come under the disguise of news reporters. So they use so many ways. And I'm strongly advised to stay away from Africa, because they have such a big network, because this is Secret Service in Namibia who are doing the dirty work.
Do you know how to vet if somebody comes to you and says they're CNN or, Washington Post? Do you have a way of vetting that?
No, if someone contacts me, it's a process for me to confirm that person, and nobody can knock on my door and tell me who is there. I will send them away. I will not call the police. I'm very experienced today. I have been followed and everything. And also what I have done for the last 4.5 years, I have good people around me who have experience in these matters.
Good.
So in my advanced, I have a very open mind. So I basically expect anything, and I listen to people who have experience. As just what you are saying. And the people who have surrounded me now last 4.5 years, some are quite good experience, and they have been like telling me things.
Yeah, good. You can always come to America,
Yeah.
If you need to run, you can always come to America because they haven't poisoned anybody here yet that we know of.
I think
England was frightening. I mean, that was I'm surprised that didn't get more press. That they actually went into England. I mean, that's shocking.
Yeah, but I think there is a much more poisoning cases than we know about, but it looks...
I think you're right. And I think that's a good hook for this story.
Yes. And you know, I was never supposed to survive, and I was never supposed to survive this far. I think I'm just one of the lucky, because somehow I got some information and advices, because I can tell you, when I was poisoned in end of 2016, early 2017, and if I would have died, nobody would have done anything about it to make the cause. So now it's out and getting more out, because people will be able to relate to my story. And also, when the Fishrot story broke out in the news over 1 year ago, then you have the motive.
Yes, the more we get this out, which is true, my hero, with all whistleblowers, the more publicity they get, the better their case.
Exactly. And also, I mean, I came forward with that after 3 years of illness, but because then I have a support of my medical history, because, you know, we haven't found anything. I could not do it after 1 year, because then people think I'm crazy. People think still I'm crazy, you know.
Oh, yeah. I fully understand. Because when I did mine, they'd say, oh, well, why would the FBI do that? You know, and then they paint you that way. They say, well, you know, she's a crazy woman. Yeah, so I fully understand.
Yeah, exactly. That's when I was reading about you, because they say, no, we are FBI. She's talking nonsense because we are FBI.
Exactly. So as you go through this, my hero, you just take a great courage and just proceed forward, because I can tell you're a person who's going to follow to the end. Which brings me up, where were you born?
In Iceland, Reykjavik, the capital.
I love Reykjavik. And tell me about your parents. Are they still alive?
No, my mother died in late 2016 after dealing with illness of, you know, Alzheimer's. And my father, who was 82, he's still alive and quite fresh.
What did they impart to you that has made you the man you are today?
I would say that there is especially there are a few things. Especially is one, never discriminate people. Everybody are the same. And this is how always been followed me, and I've always been like that. I don't look at people differently and have a good reputation with that. You know, always respect people, and I would say, you know, from the both also the kindness towards other people. And even though I'm stuck in the bribery scandal, but I have a reputation, always be kind to people, you know, and try to do well. And when I come to Namibia, I thought you were going to do well for the country. And I think maybe that's why it bothers me and I came forward. But I would say these qualities, you know, and don't never discriminate everybody the same, especially from my mother, you know, and be kind, you know, and respect people. And yeah.
What were you like as a boy? Were you a good scholar? Were you mischievous? Were you courageous? Were you involved in sports?
Yeah, I mean, just the standard sports like we were all doing when we were young. A little bit wild, but did well in school. I mean,
you were a good student.
Yeah, I was a fine, good student. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So we are obligated to be in school here to 16 years old. Then we have to go to college 3-4 years, or what we call the school, and then university. And I only took 2 years, and then I was start to work. And I took 1 year in university much later.
What did you study?
It was just all basics, you know. And when I went 1 year in university, it was just the economics.
Gotcha. What was your first job?
I started to work very young during the summers, you know. I was 12 years old, working in, assisting in a garage, you know, with mechanics. When I was 18 years old, I go as an exchange student to Panama.
Panama?
Yeah.
Oh, and what did you do in Panama?
I was an exchange student. I lived with a family there, which I call my family today. This is 91, and I stayed there a little bit over 11 months.
Good experience.
A fantastic experience. I love the country and the people.
Good. And so tell me, you came back, and then what did you do?
Yeah, then I took one more year in, the 2 years in college I talk about was 1 year before I went to Panama and 1 year after.
Yeah.
And then I just stopped and started in my career as in the fishing industry.
What drew you to the fishing industry?
My father was a fisherman for 27 years on a fishing vessel as a cook. And 13 years on a cargo vessel, so it was 40 years on sea. And
wow.
So I mean, I started in the fish after a very short period in the fishing factory. I became factory foreman, and basically from there I was always in these positions: factory foreman, production manager, quality manager. And then I was start to be adventurous and start to go to Denmark to work in a fish factory. Was a factory foreman.
In Denmark? Denmark?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just for few months, just for a season, one season. Oh. And then I was start to be also a little bit on the fishing vessels in Iceland, just as a regular fisherman. And then I start to, it ended like that. I went to East Russia, Kamchatka, and working on the big Russian vessels for first Icelandic company and then later Norwegian company. I was there for 4 years. I started with Samherji 2007 in Mauritania on a big vessel.
Originally, when you started, what was your job title?
Yeah, I was a factory manager on one of the super trawlers fishing in Mauritania. And
okay.
They knew I had some experience in Morocco, and they wanted to see if they could do some trial project on land in Morocco, because the goal, the cash cow for them is the super trawlers which freeze on board, and to get quota for them, for these vessels. So to pretend that they want to do something to secure their quota for these big vessels in Morocco, they make a trial project in Morocco on land to create jobs, and so on.
Oh, Morocco.
Yeah, I lived there for several years. And then basically I had become in a position, I was a general manager for this project. I come in a position that they had a big, was impressed with my work, and also I was starting to look for projects for these big fishing vessels and the super trawlers. And that is how I ended in Namibia.
Okay, but you were still working for the company.
Yeah.
They sent you over to Namibia.
Yeah, because me and one of the key managers in Samherji, we were exploring opportunities for these big vessels or any projects in Africa, even other countries. We were looking at Brazil and Oman and other countries. So I had some kind of a manager of business developments as well.
Very rich people run this company.
Very rich. This company, in the whole group, probably has a turnover of $900 million per year, and only part of it is from Iceland. They have operation in Norway, UK, Germany, Poland. They have them in US, in Canada, Spain, France.
Okay, so tell me how your job at that time was to secure these contracts or to hunt out nations that would help secure fishing rights for your company?
Yeah, it was more like, find fishing quotas for these big vessels, because the fishing quotas are the value. And then they bring in the big vessels, freeze on board, basically do nothing on land. This is what is often very profitable and can be like a gold mine,
Sure.
Yeah.
So is there a quota? I mean, can these ships like suck up tons of fish?
Yeah, what is it depends on how much fishing quota they get. And that is what basically the fiscal corruption is about.
Okay.
Is that they've got this big access to fishing quotas through this corruption with well-connected business people and politicians.
Okay, so tell me how it works and how they set the quotas.
Yeah, no, they basically they get the fishing quotas, and normally it is local people in the countries who have the fishing rights which get the fishing quotas, and sell to companies like Samherji.
Gotcha.
And how they get the fishing rights, like in the case of Fishrot, was illegal. The corrupt people in Namibia.
Tell me what the righteous process is, and then tell me what the corrupt process is. Who do you approach?
Yeah, like in Namibia, the fishing rights were allocated to various people and groups.
Okay.
And they could make a contract to foreign companies or local companies. And that is what we also did. And that project, you know, that for Samherji it was not profitable, and you know that's another story which they tried to steal from them.
Sure.
And and then that's one of the issue I left. Then they got to contact with the politicians and well-connected business people who found ways to even change the law in Namibia so they would have quota rights to control even through state-owned fishing company or bilateral agreement, which these quotas were then sold to Samherji to catch.
Do the politicians have the fishing rights, or do businesses?
You know, in 2011, there was just to various groups, including some politicians, they were given quota rights. And you know, a lot of people. And the quota should not be with the politicians, but then they, in case of Fishrot, they made a bilateral agreement between Angola and Namibia, which was just to get quotas under control of the, I call them the sharks, the corrupt people in Namibia.
Yes.
And the politicians and business people who gave it to Samherji. And they also changed the law so they could give quotas to a state-owned fishing company, which then sold it to Samherji. That is the illegal way. And the people who got quotas, sometimes politicians, maybe many people in with one quota right, they could make agreement to foreign companies like Samherji to catch and go into joint operation, joint venture.
Okay. So when you're talking quotas, how much is these quotas?
Maybe one quota right group would have 10,000 tons.
Okay.
For 1 year. And one fishing vessel of Samherji could catch 40,000 tons per year.
What kind of fish are they allowed?
It's called horse mackerel. It's another type of mackerel.
Oh, mackerel.
And it's a low protein fish sold to the African market.
When your ship went out and caught tons of this fish, would they sell it to people in Namibia, or do they take it anywhere in the world?
They take it to other African countries. It was very limited sold in Namibia.
Because it's not a great fish?
No, it's more for the people who have a very low income.
Gotcha. So these politicians were using corrupt practices, selling it back to their own people. So really they were screwing their own people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because they somehow gained access to the fishing quotas, which sold to Samherji, which made a lot of money and left basically nothing in the country. So the politicians, for example, 1 ton of horse mackerel frozen goes into the market for maybe $850 per ton. Okay. Which is not much, you know, 850 for 1,000 kilo.
Oh, wow.
And so it's not much. And the politicians or these corrupt people, they sold the quota to Samherji maybe for $250 so they could catch this fish. So if the politicians, let's give an example, 10,000 ton, the politicians got access to 10,000 ton. They sell to Samherji for $250 per ton, which is 2.5 million. They sell to Samherji. Samherji paid $2.5 million to the politicians. Then Samherji goes and fishing, processing, freezing, and they sell it for $850. And then, of course, there is operational cost and everything.
Right, right. But they still made a ton of money.
Oh, yeah. They made a lot.
They made a lot.
Yeah. I think total turnover, what I have estimated, for Samherji from 2012 to 2019 in Namibia, total turnover, just turnover, not profit, is probably up close to $500 million US. And they probably got out of this 200 million, maybe more. And they made sure they don't pay any taxes. They go get the money out, inflated cost, royalty agreements, and so on and so on. And that is a part which I have been exposing as well.
Your country, Iceland, must be very interested in that. Are they working with you? I mean, it's their taxes, right?
No, it's taxes in Namibia, because the company is operating in Namibia. But there is complications which the case is now involving Iceland, Norway, Cyprus, Dubai, possible UK, maybe US, and so it's quite big, and Mauritius as well. So
I'm sorry, what liabilities would those countries have?
There is an ongoing investigation in Iceland, Norway, and Namibia. Then the links of the case goes to the other countries, and because the money was transferred, a lot of money was transferred basically illegally from Namibia to Cyprus to pay less taxes, UK, Poland, and a lot was done through the Norwegian bank, because the companies in Cyprus, they had bank accounts in Norwegian bank. So you get the illegal or illicit transfer of funds basically into Norwegian economy, where it looks better.
Yes.
And then, we were also payments to some established companies in Mauritius to get money out there in order to pay less or no tax in Namibia.
So when you were working for the company, what was your job title at that time?
Production manager in the company before I worked for them on shore, on land. And
so they approached you and they said, we've got this great deal for you, or did they promote you and say, we're sending you to Africa?
I asked for a job with them on the fishing vessels in Africa, because I've been in these projects all over. I stayed on the fishing vessel for 1 year in Mauritania, not in Namibia, in Mauritania. And then they promoted me to a general manager position in Morocco. And then I became kind of manager of business developments as well, to search for projects. And then in Namibia, I became managing director. That was my biggest position I ever got.
Did you actually live in Namibia?
Yeah.
How long were you there?
From end of 2011 to July 2016.
What happened in 2016?
2014, I started to realize they are not going to do so well for Namibian people. And from that, it just grew from that point until middle of 2016, that, I had growing conflicts with the superiors of Samherji, which were located in Iceland. And I did not, want to steal from these local people, and as they did. And then with the main corruption scheme, Fishrot, that will start to grow started 2014 after 2 years of preparation. And 2015, it started to grow a lot, 2016. And I wanted to have things more correct, for example, with the paying taxes and so on, but Samherji was very, very strict on that, but I worked with him to find ways. And also, I was their man on the ground to communicate for bribe payments and so on, even though, it's not my decision to take the bribe payments. And the first bribe payments in the end of 2011 and early 2012, I was just a passenger because there was another person from Samiri in the front. So I just thought, okay, so this is how they do it. Yeah. And also keep in mind, I'm working for a huge company and big position. So it was kind of educational. And so you basically get drawn into this. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm a victim or anything like that, not at all, you know. I'm fully aware that paying bribes is illegal. I'm fully aware that when you're cheating on the taxes, it's illegal. And but with this mentality, we are the victims, we are doing so much for everybody, we deserve more, and we are taking the risk and everything, and you're working for this huge company. And this is my biggest position. And I think, you know, in the middle of in July 2016, we came to the point that we had a huge conflicts. I was also frustrated working for them. I was also tired. I've been working in Africa from 2008, including Morocco, to 2014 in Namibia without any holidays, you know, always here and there alone, you know. And so, I mean, also, there was a lot of promises towards me, which was, I saw it was not going to happen. So, I mean, it all started to match together. They were going to cheat on Namibia, cheat on the local partners which they had. They were cheat on the country. They were not going to respect me and honor anything was said to me, you know.
Right. And, they were going to cheat you. They were going to cheat you.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I just told them I'm leaving and that everything blew up in the air. You know, and I was in South Africa at the time because we were exploring opportunities there. And they like to say that they fired me, which is fine. I don't have a problem with what they say. They have never been able to back it up because I don't care. It doesn't matter for me.
Yes.
But the funny thing is that when I decided to leave, and that was just been growing frustration, and my biggest concern at that time were the local people. They were going to cheat on them, and this has come to reality today. It's another case. And then, just to a little bit forward, it took me a little bit of time to process everything, what I have been part of, and how bad it has had on the Namibian people and the economy. You see, the corruption scheme also escalated a lot after my departure, got much bigger. And that is basically the reason everything come together. I decided to report it to Namibian authorities 2 years after I left, but my decision had been taken 1.5 years later after I left, if you follow me. But I was always going to fight for the local people against Samiri, which were the one project. And so it's like, okay, you don't understand maybe the full impact on the Namibian country, what you have been part of, until you basically, you take you a little bit out and you follow what's happening. So my conscience said, you know, I had to come forward, and it took me like 6-7 months to get to Namibia to report it, basically. And but when I left in July, then they wanted me to Iceland because they didn't want me to be in the southern part of Africa because I probably could make damages for them because I was supporting the local people.
Yes.
At that time, the corruption scheme with the sharks, it was growing. It was not that big yet. It was still growing and serious. Still was serious. I mean, we have made bilateral agreement between two countries and bribe payments a lot and so on. So Samiri thought I was going to come and meet them because they said they want to come and meet me. I knew that was just to get me out from there, but I had taken my decision. I was leaving, and I was going to be independent in Africa and work with some people I knew from Africa. And I pretended to be on the way for probably 1 or 2 weeks. In the meantime, I was busy with the IT guys trying to download as many emails and data I could to take with me. So they didn't close my accounts until too late.
Good.
And
you have that. You have those documents.
Oh yeah,
in a safe place.
Oh yeah, and when I did this, there was a lot of things going. I had the IT guys. Then I put it into 5, I think, hard drives, sent it with DHL to 5 different people.
How did WikiLeaks get a hold of it?
In July 2018, I asked for a meeting with the chief editor of WikiLeaks, who is from Iceland.
Assange.
No, Kristinn Hrafnsson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the chief editor today because Assange is in jail.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and so I told him I have a big and complex case, and he said he was interested. And shortly after, I mean, then I go to Namibia to report the cases because I always knew it has to go public.
Yes.
The time has to be right. And until I met Kristinn, I had a little bit tested who I could talk to, and it was not really, I was not in a hurry. I was just going to do things right and well. And also, there's a lot of things happening in my life. I've been poisoned, there were life risks, so I was trying maybe to get a little bit control of the situation.
Did you give permission for them to publish?
Yes.
Or did they? Oh, okay. So they didn't out you.
No, I mean, because I said I come forward, and I think it says on the WikiLeaks page they got the information from me, and we did filter the information. Yeah, it's fine, and also that's why I came into the big. I came in the big investigation report TV of Al Jazeera, and also Icelandic media, and I gave full access to me. So
they tried to off you to kill you.
Yes.
Before you went public.
Exactly. That is a little bit the unique situation.
That's pretty ballsy of them.
And you see, I think what have triggered them, I was going to fight Samherji with the local people. So they knew I was going to be a risk.
Who do you think put out the hit on you?
The Secret Service in Namibia is part of this. They worked with some possible corrupt Secret Service in South Africa, and mafias in Namibia, in mafias in South Africa, and then they have links to Morocco through the South African mafia, because and further, and this is quite big syndicate, and I have never said publicly who are behind, because I will come to that later.
Yes.
But I have given strong indications that I said in one news article, when I went to Namibia to report the cases to the investigators in August 2018, it was important that the Secret Service of Namibia would not know about my trip, as well the regime.
So your company didn't have anything to do with it?
We suspect they knew, and they might have been in the meetings, and they have just said, without to be in the decision person, but we are sure they knew about it.
Wow.
And that is also one thing I have not come public with, and I will wait with that allegations, but I give hints. And 20th of December, I find the first poisoning effect.
So you were in South Africa?
Yeah, because I was exploring opportunities for Samherji in South Africa as well. And I was in South Africa when I decided to leave the company in July 2016.
And they wanted you to stay in South Africa?
No.
Oh.
No. I was just, I was traveling for the company to explore opportunities. And
you told them in July of 2016.
Yeah.
And you happened to be in South Africa.
Yes.
Then did you return somewhere else, or did they say hang around for a while?
No, they were always asking me to come to Iceland to discuss matter, but they basically wanted me away from Africa because Namibia and South Africa are next to each other.
Gotcha.
There's such a strong connection between Namibia and South Africa, and I was in good contact with the local people, which Samherji was stealing from, or we can say mistreating. And so I decided I was going to live in South Africa, and we were going to do projects in Africa, but start in South Africa. So next month I stay in South Africa, and then after I left, there was a rumors. Christian Yema from DRC, I knew him for 6 months, and he basically come to my side and started to put protection around me because something was not right. And there was a big rumors because I knew people in Cape Town. I was in Cape Town, that there was a high interest in my computer, and we didn't understand that, or we. And then you get new friends, which maybe not your friends, because you had known someone, and then suddenly he started to show up and with another friend and pretend to be your friends. And me and Christian, we played the game.
Where do you think you were poisoned?
I stay in Cape Town from end of July to middle of July, end of July 2016 to beginning of October 2016.
Okay.
And there was a lot of things, strange happening things under surveillance there, and movements around where I lived. And I left beginning of October after there had been extortion attempts several times by mafia based on I was some high profile person or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
And they were putting a lot of traps and ways to intimidate me, but we stood our ground. And at the beginning of October, the threats came quite serious after we had to have to deal with this quite often, me and Christian. And so I was quickly taken away from my house by Christian and his team after we got serious threat, and on a high speed out of Cape Town, and was hiding there for 5 days because the big mafias were after me. They were contracted probably to take me, and stayed there for 5 days, and then it was best for me to leave the country. Then I just went to Morocco shortly, then to Iceland, but I was not going to give up, and we were going to work in Africa. And also this unfinished settlement with Samherji, which they were also running away in Iceland, pretended, to want to talk. And so the objective was basically to use the Namibian law to end my contract and get what I deserve, which I only got part of. It's fine. So I go back to South Africa in end of November, despite everything.
Okay.
Me and Christian and one more, we stay in Johannesburg a couple of weeks, and there are also strange things happening. And we just decided to go to Cape Town, and we basically pushed this settlement agreement through because they couldn't run. So they asked a lawyer in South Africa to handle the settlement agreement, which was just nonsense. But I decided to sign it anyway just to get free, and it was just part of what they actually had promised and owed me. But I was just going to get free because they were using that against me when talking to others, that I was still with them.
Yes.
So and before I signed the settlement agreement, we had been in Cape Town maybe 1 or 2 weeks. 1 week, maybe 10 days. And then even during then, there was a abduction attempt. There were people sent, 5 people to take me at home, but I had a good protection in Cape Town. And my bodyguard had a pistol. So he basically crawls with the outside yard. And he saw them trying to get into the gate, so he jumps over with the gun and holds them at the gunpoint and tells them to leave. And they were, and they left. And so there was a lot of heat these days. I mean, this was probably the only thing talked about in Cape Town among the underworld, because the underworld and the police and the intelligence, spy secret service, these are all connected, and they're connected also to Namibia.
Wow.
So, but Christian is quite professional, very good people around him, very good people. And we were not going to give in. I mean, they even tried to pay Christian to leave me and so on, There was a lot of things happening. And then finally we pushed the settlement agreement through, which they were never going to do anything or pay anything, but I ended up get some money. And it's basically at 20th of December, and that same evening or the evening after, I find the first poisoning effect, and we had gone out because we had managed to get free, and me and Christian, we were also going to work together in projects in DRC and so on, in Congo. And then we were few together, and I probably had 3 protectors, but I can see suddenly the heat is turning on. And I see now people coming to sit with us, which is from Christian side, because there were gangs sent, and they were already, some of them, I think, inside, to shoot me inside. But because Christian has also his connections, and he got, heard about it, and they were ended up with 13 guys, and 10 of them armed were protecting me. And was almost going to one of the huge shootouts, because the 3 cars, I think were 3 cars, sent the gangs. And they were, because Christian has people who are very professionals, ex-military people and so on. And Christian is ex-military as well. He's educated protector and bodyguard. And it's quite intense. But that evening, I had noticed that something was not right as well. So from that day, things, I was going to leave South Africa. Then I heard further that the mafias were going to take me out, were looking for me. Then I told Christian, I'm going to stay. We are just going to, whoever it is, whatever it's happening, because we had not connected Namibia to it. Even though Namibia was always pumping up. Then I stayed there. And was systematically, they got poisoned somehow through hotels and so on. They're very sophisticated. You will get, for example, sealed water bottles with poison inside. These guys are pro, and and it's also unreal. You don't go and say, "Listen, I feel a little bit strange. I must be poisoned." Nobody will believe you. And they will say, what, didn't you go out? Didn't you have a drink? Yeah, this must be the drink.
You think that the poisoning happened probably while you were staying at a hotel in Cape Town?
Yeah, basically in a hotel. Because I think they saw that Christian had put so many protectors around me, they could not get through that without huge fight, because later, close to the New Year, there was a statement from Christian to them, if you want to come, we go into war. We stand. And I think, the poison is coming into you. They use different ways, and they also, you have to understand, there are maybe people around me which they threaten their family. There is one incident of that, quite serious one. So it's as crazy as you can imagine. Yeah. All the tricks are used.
Yes.
And so people who are maybe somehow close to me, they are threatened. Their family are threatened. Even in another country, their family are threatened. That even happened. Yeah. And so basically, you are not exactly realizing what is happening, but there come then you start to feel very strange and a little bit disoriented, and there comes then moments that I'm almost collapsing. There are at least five serious moments, and from first poisoning, that I'm on the floor in agony and fighting heavy, hard, all the symptoms, and I do relate to the movie. Have you seen the movie Landromat about the Panama Papers?
No.
There is a poisoning scene there. I kind of relate to that. And it's a movie with, I think, Gary Oldman and some other great actors. It's about the Panama Papers. And there's a poisoning scene. And so also at the same time, who's going to believe you? But thankfully I had Christian, and I had one person in Iceland as well. And which I've been made in contact with because he had some experience in life. And he was helping me and Christian. And then we stood the ground, and the security around me just increases. And everything is getting very intense.
Yes.
And it basically, I happened there once very seriously. I'm collapsing and fighting basically for my life on the ground for 2 hours. And then I had the instinct not to go to hospital. Something told me not to, because you don't know what kind of mistreatment you will get. Even though I went there once after one of the collapse the day after, just for check, observation. Then after that, I've been fighting with the more serious case. Then I dehydrated so fast, then I could put water down me. Just to maybe a little bit rough to say, but maybe almost 10 liters of water I drink in 10 minutes, because the water, I was dehydrated faster than the water came down. It's madness.
Wow.
I've never experienced anything like that, and nobody has. I mean, we are talking so significant amount of water. And of course, I have mapped and learned a lot about this period afterwards, but keep in mind also there was challenges to just maybe to put it all together, because it's affecting you so much and you're not realizing. You're trying to find common sense in the most bizarre, crazy situation. Yes. And somehow I managed, and it ended like that. I left the country 10th of January because the heat was just going to blow up in Cape Town, and for the safety of others, I think it was the best thing to leave. And that was also, I left the 10th because there was coming out the rumors there was going to be a big hit on me 10th of January. So I said, let's stay to 10th of January. Let him try.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I can implicate Morocco now into this, but to tell it short, that the danger followed me to Morocco. I was poisoned in Morocco. There was power people who pulled the strings. They had some information, put me under high security into a safety house after one incident, and under the protection of, I counted 13 guys in 3 apartments around me. It was bizarre. And then after 2 days, they considered the risk too high. So they had to hide me in the southern part of Morocco.
Wow.
Then I'm started to be, being so much poison put in my body, and was not with myself in the whole January there, and then I'm started to be poisoned again end of January to maybe 10th of February, and that was heavy. I was started to be in bad conditions, because you start to feel so bad. You try to take a drink just to take some of the symptoms down, and because that is also one of the bad things with this, and the medications have been given. They have no chance to have to take this down, because it's like something is boiling, and the common sense is disturbed. I sometimes think back, how did I manage through everything with not more damage? You understand me?
Do you feel your faith has played a part in this?
Yes.
And what part has your faith played?
The strong instincts I have got, and I'm very thankful for my faith. And I've never been closer to my faith until everything started 4.5 years ago. And the faith is, it plays a quite big role through my period.
Do you feel that God has somehow put you in the right place at the right time?
Definitely, and that when it comes to this strong instincts, and you see, in my journey, I'm thankful. I'm thankful in my prayers.
Yes.
It was meant to be like this, and I have accepted that part, and I'm going to finish that part.
Wow.
But when I came to Iceland, and the risk did a little bit follow me, so I stayed with a friend for a few days because there were some risks in Iceland.
Yes.
Then I went to a doctor, and they didn't believe, but I finally got to my own physician because he was on holiday the first 1-2 weeks after he came, And I asked him, and then I found a psychologist, just said, you don't have to believe me. And I also told the family, you don't have to believe me, just come to your own conclusion, because I was in a terrible state. I mean, just imagine that I didn't sweat. The system is so broken. And I hardly sweat. I start to sweat a little bit normally, but for the first year, I don't sweat.
Wow.
And except when I try to push me very, very, very hard. But, you know, if there is such a bad thing, it should break out in sweat.
Yes.
But we are in a different place there. This is beyond.
What symptoms do you have today that you still have?
There is this very unpleasant and painful symptoms, which basically goes from toe to top. And they can be very various, and it's very difficult to explain. And it's like the body is not functioning. And they can go as bad as to describe to have a razor blades in your blood when the was is. And then there is a vision disturbance. They are quite frequent. And then the body is weak. But the body, you sense the body is weak based on the symptoms is attacking you. It's how to say, it's all painful, but just a little bit different. How much? It's not like something uncomfortable. You understand? It's painful. And then shaking a lot. You know, I mean, a shake like what I call inside and outside. I have pains in different parts. You know. And also pressure in head, disturbance with focus, and so sometimes come pain in the chest, you know, and dizziness quite often, and etc.
Was it worth it?
Definitely. And to see that big hope there is going to be justice served because people are still in jail in Namibia, definitely worth it. And even though I have to deal with this every day and limits me a lot, why not to be able to be happy with the progress so far?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I've been lucky with good people around me for the last 4.5 years. Some come a little bit later. But the key thing in such a difficult situation with all the life challenges and so on, you surround you with the right people who think in solutions for you, not people who are trying to judge or make, you know, no, it's not like this. You keep them out because then you lose the focus and you make mistake, because if you make mistake traveling and they are after you, you don't correct it.
Who's going to play you in the movie?
That's a good question.
I was thinking Tom Cruise would play you well.
Yeah, I think we look alike, you know, so.
Yes. So is Christian, your bodyguard friend, is he from Iceland?
No, he's from Congo, DRC, Republic of Congo.
What would you say to your detractors, because there's always detractors, right, who say, wait a second, you were part of the scheme, of the scam? What would you say to them? I
always said I was part of it. And I'm not running away from my responsibilities. And I accept anything what comes my way. And, you know, I was there and I was doing the work for the help of the company. And so, I mean, I'm not running away. I always said so.
When did you become aware of the scheme?
It was clear from the day one there was going to be schemes and bribe payments and so on. Another thing is, I did not maybe realize the negative impact on the Namibian people from day one. That was a process to understand even after I left.
Give me the date of day one.
End of 2011, end of November, or just say end of 2011. We started Operation Fishing in 2012.
Did they have a lot of managing directors in different places?
In different countries, yes.
Do you think all of them were involved in bribes?
Yeah, I think most of them have been involved in some kind of kickbacks, money laundering, tax evasions, and so on. And you see, in Namibia, we paid most of the bribes with transfers. Most of it, far most. But some of them were paid with cash. But
I don't Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know what a transfer is.
The bank transfer, the bank transfers.
Oh, bank transfer. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It was just paid as a consultancy fee, maybe a rent for something.
Sure.
And
Sure.
but there were some occasions with cash, but it was very unpractical because you go to the bank and you're asking for $80,000 in cash.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean there were some occasions there. I think 60,000. Yeah, 60,000 and probably 120,000. So it was only a few occasions, and these are minor numbers compared to the whole
Right.
bunch.
Right. So you were only dealing with one facet, and you're pretty sure the company was involved throughout the world.
I'm convinced there are in more like in European countries, there is some kind of bribe payments in some kind of form, and that there is some kind of tax evasion schemes because what I learned, the Samherji, they are suspected with tax evasion schemes and money laundering in other countries, and some kind of corruption. And in Iceland, people say it's corrupt, but nobody has put finger on it. They are extremely big in Iceland and should not be so big.
Do they even have contracts with America?
They own shares in 2 American companies.
Which 2 are those?
I will find the name.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I look at Alaska. They have huge fishing up there.
Yeah.
So
this is more to do with fish trading for the marketing and so on.
Gotcha.
Alaska is huge.
Oh, I'm sorry?
Alaska has a huge fishing industry, but they are not.
Gotcha. So with all these managing directors, why are you the only one that stepped forward to expose the fraud? What is it about you? What makes you different? What makes you go outside the box? You lost your job. You were poisoned. What inside of you, what makes you up, your personality, that you're the only one to step forward?
Actually, I cannot answer this question, but the only thing I can tell you is that I was not going to have this on my conscience, on my mind, that what I've been part of, and I was not. How do you say conscious? Like on my
conscience.
Sorry, on my.
You're good.
I was not going to have it on my conscience what I have been part of. And I was never going to be part of cheating on the locals in the other projects. That was always from the day one, and I had started to fight for their interest even before I left the company in July 2016.
A lot of people would come from America or from Iceland and go over to Africa, and they don't view them as on their same level. Do you know what I'm talking about? But for some reason, you saw them as human beings.
They're all equal. I mean, I only had good relationship with the people I worked with there, and then for me, we are all equal. And but I know very well what you're talking about, because my superiors and co-workers at Samherji, they came to Namibia. They look down at people. They're very arrogant and disrespectful, and big discrimination, and how they treat people. It's unacceptable.
So what makes you different that you saw them equally, especially since your countrymen and probably ours would see them as lesser? So what is it about your makeup that allows you to see that and see the humanity?
I think I just come from a good home, was raised up correctly. It's always been in my whole life, and that, show no discrimination, and we are all the same, all equal.
Yeah, there's the answer right there. Yeah. What does your dad say about this?
My dad is very proud of me.
Good.
He's very supportive, and also what me, because we have talked about it a lot, and what I can see him more and more. Also, what are good qualities I have had from him. Also, just to understand the bigger picture. I think one of the key things is when you're entering things like that, if you don't have the mentality to think big and about the bigger picture, to put the dots together, you will run into trouble. You should think as big as possible, that there are big forces against you who can do whatever. Even though, I had to learn also the hard way, but you have to, and have the people like that around you. I think
Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
I think I said to someone in 2018, it's a privilege to have people around me who understand the bigger picture of the chess game. I think it was a quote I wrote. I will send it to you.
That's a good quote. I'm going to use that somewhere.
Yeah, I will send the correct saying exactly. I will send it to you because I found it the other day.
Yes, that would be good. So did you recognize you are different? That you do, obviously, you're outside the box? Because all of your coworkers, none of them step forward.
I don't think I'm any different, just I'm not any different than from the normal human life people, humans. I mean, it should be our obligations, all of us, but unfortunately, it's not. And
but they didn't step forward. They did not step forward.
No, and maybe there is always a challenges. People have tried to say things in the past and lost their jobs and lost their future careers and so on. It's also in Iceland with the Samherji. Anyone tried to say anything in the past, and so I mean it is difficult, especially people have family and so on. And then, of course, there are people in the bigger position. They are probably driven more about their self-interest. As long as they are benefiting, they are fine. And maybe some of them do not realize exactly how serious things are or what they are part of.
Do you think you lost your wife over this? Was that one of the costs?
I think for the last 2 years I was in Namibia, the whole thing had a huge impact on me, and been a long time in Africa, and made me attend less to my marriage. That is for sure, and that is my fault. And I mean, there is no doubt that, this has played a huge role, and the whole thing, me working there and being all this fighting for the last 2 years, had a negative effect on our marriage. That's for sure.
So you look at the destruction, and you look at the carnage, that's strewn about you. You lost your wife, you lost your job. Was it worth it? Would you do it again?
Yes, 100%.
And why would you do it again, knowing what you know now?
Because it's the right thing to do. And
Okay.
And what I mean, it bothers me. And the reason why I also came forward is just to see all the suffering of the people in Namibia. That's been having a devastating effect on the people in Namibia. Many people lost their livelihoods. There is a high unemployment rate in Namibia due to corruption. People don't have food, jobs, houses, and there are people have said to commit suicide because of this corruption. We are talking about 26 cases possibly. And so because the fishing industry changed that the corrupt people, the sharks we call them, and Samherji, they took all the benefits, and maybe together we are talking about several hundreds of millions of US dollars they took for their own pockets instead of being putting back into the society.
So what do you think about, you call them sharks? What do you think about the sharks?
The sharks and Samherji, they are pure criminals. They are greedy people, and they have no respect for human lives. They will,
not even for their own people.
No. This is because the Fishrot is bigger than just the part with Samiri. So we are talking about maybe the shark stole at least $150 million, and Samiri took from these corruption schemes over $200 million. So we are talking about maybe close to $400 million in from 2012 to 2019. There is these have had a devastating effect on tens of thousands of people, or not hundreds of thousands.
What are you living on now? How do you survive?
The short answer is I don't. And the little assets, I did have some assets when I left, but I have more or less lost everything. And the challenge is to find. I've been lucky with some people around me who assisted me and so on, and that is one of the challenges which I will have to find solution for in one way or another, because also what is I cannot work because of the health issues, even though I have tried, and basically I feel embarrassed that I have tried and not be able to deliver to the employer, and that's one of the challenges which I have to find solution, and I'm trying to find solutions on, especially because.
Oh, I'm sorry. Has your company blackballed you? Are they bad mouthing you there?
Oh yeah, they did that from 2016, but it never mattered for me because I was used to go and work here and there around the world. But it's a health issue. If I would be fit to work, then I would probably find something somewhere. But because I'm not.
I'm sorry. How have you been treated in the community?
I think only positive. I mean, there is always something, and that's part of it, There is always someone saying bad things and propaganda against me and so on, but that's part of it coming forward, and if you don't have that, there's something wrong.
But you have sacrificed a lot, more than most.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think about it like that. My mission is just to finish these matters, and then hopefully it will we'll be able to take this further. It will be educational for possible, for example, just the other alleged poisoning cases, and hopefully that this will change the fishing industry not only in Namibia but other countries to better, and the fish rod will be used as educational for other countries to use to expose corruption. So I think as I see it, that it's not only fish rod, but we have to take it much further, because we have to use this as a educational for other law enforcements around the world, and NGOs and others,
And what's your future going to be?
Now my focus is to get a better health, because I need to have the oxygen on me to be able to finish the Fishrot cases in a proper manner. And that is basically what I'm focusing on. And of course, I'm focusing a lot of things related to Fishrot, because there is always something, and some answers need to be answered and clarified with investigators. And then there's also, I attend a little bit to the NGOs and lawyers and news reporters. And this is just my focus. And if further than that, then I want to take next steps to fight corruption.
And what would those be? How do you see yourself in 20 years? What would you be doing?
Fighting corruption in Africa, to see changes to the better for the people in Africa.
You have an affinity? You have an affinity for Africans.
Yeah. I always connected well to Africa, and for me, Africa has been my home. I lived there probably total 9 years or so, close to 10 years. In Namibia, Morocco, South Africa, a little bit.
And why do you have that affinity? What is it about the people there?
Something with the people and the country, and the, you know, the people are great. They're wonderful, and you know, they have so much positive, you know, how to say, there's a lot of challenges there, but
Yeah.
the will to do something good is so there. But unfortunately, there is also, like in everywhere else, there is corruption, which stops a lot of the development. But there is something which connects me with the people in Africa, and that's why, I mean, I know so many good people there.
Yeah. Do you see yourself as a hero?
No, not at all.
How do you see yourself?
Just a person doing, want to do the right thing.
You don't see yourself as a hero?
No, I don't.
Ah.
And also, I don't look at me as any victim or anything like that. It's a battle, and it's a war. We have lost few battles, and it's just to be smart and plan and organize and get a better health to fight better, because it's a war for the people, to change things to better for the people.
I think you're a wonderful man. I think you're a hero.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, but I think, like me and you and many others, we're just doing the right things.
I think you should write a book, or have somebody help you write a book.
Yeah, I want to do that, and I want when I will, because I also need to have a little bit more ability to do things. But I have made a lot of notes, and I want to do that, and then I want to take it not to in Icelandic market, but something bigger.
Yes.
Because also, for me, the story has to be told for others to learn from.
Yes. It's an amazing story.
Yeah, thank you, and we are still writing it.
Yes, you are. I'm really, really honored that I get a chance to talk to you.